What's going on, y'all? My name is Joshua George. So for this project, it was kind of difficult to ascertain exactly how I was going to be able to do it. I don't really have access to a classroom of students or really a school that has multiple grade levels to fit multiple levels of Pyget's theory. So I'm a college football coach. So the access that I have is to college age students and coaches. Pyget's theory, the formal operational stage is 12 years old and older. And luckily for y'all, I've got 18 to 27 year olds. So that's really all I could do. So the formal operational stage is really characterized by like outside thinking, deductive reasoning, the ability to think from another person's perspective. It's also characterized by being able to like systematically plan things out and think in the theoretical or the hypothetical stages of things. So the experiment that I have is very simple. I isolated each subject in my office and asked them 3 questions, and the 3 questions test out their test out the theory of the formal operational stage. So the first question is all about abstract problem solving. It's about the ability to hypothetically use deductive reasoning in a hypothetical situation. So it's basically about a coin, right? It's got a 50% chance of landing heads up, 50% chance on landing on tails. Excuse me. I asked the subject, if you're going to flip it 100 times, what's the odds that it lands on heads, right? Clearly the answer is 50-50. So 50 times, because you're going to flip it 100 times. But just testing their ability to use their hypothetical deductive reasoning, right? So the second question is all about perspective. Are you able to think in the perspective of somebody else, right? So I made it very personal because I have a personal relationship with these people. And I asked, so 2 friends, me and you, we're debating whether or not to take an action. Like, it's pretty risky, right? It could benefit us both financially, but it also has a significant chance of failing. And if it was up to you and you were the only one that got to pick between me and you, whether I was going to commit my money and you were going to commit your money, would you take the risk? Why or why not? And then I asked them and I emphasized that you need to consider the potential consequences for both of us. And I want to emphasize the word both so that they understand that it's me and them involved. And this is just to test their abstract moral reasoning and to consider like multiple perspectives, right? So the third question is it's a planning and problem solving task. It's all about using their systematic planning and hypothetical thinking. So the question is, you are tasked with planning a sustainable city of 100,000 people in a region with very limited natural resources, but an abundance in financial resources. How would you allocate those financial resources to obtain things such as water, energy, and food for your citizens? And what long-term goals would you set, and how would you ensure the success of your plans? Right, and really this is all about like being able to think in a hypothetical like situation. There's 100,000 people. I've never been put in that position before, thank the Lord. But it's all about being able to set a goal, and then how are you going to achieve that goal? What steps are you going to take? And all 3 of those questions are very important when it comes to Pyget's theory of development with the formal operational stage. So that's why I chose those 3 questions. And I'm excited for you to be able to see the responses.
All right, subject number 2 for my project. This is Caden Middleton, aka Peanut. You're okay with big film,
yes, right? I'm okay. I consent.
Okay, cool. All right, so I'm gonna ask you 3 simple questions. You just give your honest opinion, what your thoughts on it, and then give me some of the reasoning why. All right. Okay. So first question is: imagine you have a coin that has 50% chance of landing on heads and 50% chance of landing on tails. If you're going to flip the coin 100 times, how many times would you expect it to land heads up?
Theoretically, it would be 50-50, but I think anybody who's ever messed around with a quarter before, it's not been half and half. So I would say not to expect it to be 50-50. So it just varies.
Gotcha. Okay. So question 2. So me and you, 2 friends, right? We're debating whether or not to take a risky action that would benefit both of us financially, but it would also pose a significant chance of failure. If you were in our position in this hypothetical situation, would you take that risk?
Knowing you, you'd probably try and talk me into it, but the way I am, I probably wouldn't take the thing because I think that just staying where I'm at is probably better than potentially losing a bunch of money. So
Okay,
I probably would not take it.
fair enough. And then question 3. You are tasked with planning a sustainable city for 100,000 people in a region with limited natural resources but bountiful financial resources. How would you allocate your resources, such as water, energy, and food? And what long-term goals would you set? And how would you ensure the success of your plan?
Well, if we have limited resources but plenty of financial, I think we would have to, I don't know, somehow strike deals with like other cities or countries or whatever it may be to, get those resources. Since we're limited, I don't want my people in my city to, kind of have to limit what they can and can't do. So we would have to strike deals with them.
So would your focus be on importation, or would it be more so of setting up the infrastructure to be sustainable in the future?
It'd probably have to be setting up like different things, because if we have all that money, we're gonna have to find people who can plan to preserve the natural resources we do have and make them last longer. So,
All right. Well, I appreciate your participation.
got you, bro.
Thank you, sir. All right, so this is video 1 of Joshua George's project. I'm here with Walker Terrain, our running backs coach. He does not consent to being recorded, but he's fine with the audio, which is why you're seeing black on your screen now. All right, so Walker, I'm going to ask you 3 questions. Just answer to the best of your ability, however you feel represents yourself in the best way possible. So the first question is: imagine that you have a coin, right? It has a 50-50 chance of landing on heads or tails. If I flipped it 100 times, how many times would you expect it to land on heads?
Hopefully 50% of the time,
Okay, why is that?
because it's 50-50 chance. Simple math.
Fair enough. Okay, so the second question is: you have 2 friends, right? Let's say it's me and you, okay?
Yep.
We have the ability, or we have the chance to take a risk that could really benefit us financially, right? But it also has a risk of going very negative, very badly, very quickly. Do you want to take that risk? Why or why not?
Yes, because you gotta lose money to make money.
Okay. All right. The last question is: you were tasked with planning a sustainable city for 100,000 people, right? But this city lacks natural resources, but you have the financial resources to spend money however you need to sustain the city. Are you going, how do you allocate those funds? Are you going with food, water, shelter? Are you going with amenities? What are your thoughts?
I'd probably go food. I'd probably spend most of my money on food, shelter, electricity. Because with those, and I guess gas. Because with those 4 things, you're able to create clean water.
When you say food and all those things, are you talking about building those on your own? Like self-allocating places for farms to create food, or are you trying to import food? What are our thoughts?
I would probably say creating some farms. I mean, the front load is probably gotta be the worst of it and most of the work, but as soon as you get into some type of schedule, it becomes easier and easier each and every single year. From week to week, month to month, it just becomes easier once you get a schedule set and done. So,
Sweet. Appreciate it, man.
yep.
All right. So I'm here with Cody Loop, one of my tight ends. He's going to participate in this little project we got going on. So I'm going to ask you 3 questions. You're going to give me answers, why you think that way, or what's the logic behind it. And then we'll move on to the next question. Cool? You're cool. All right. So first question is: imagine you have a coin that's a 50% chance of landing heads up and a 50% chance of landing tails up. You're going to flip the coin 100 times. How many times would you expect it to land heads up?
50.
Okay. Why?
Well, because if you flip it 100 times, it's got a 50% chance of flipping either one then.
Okay. So 50.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So the second question is: me and you, we were debating whether to take a risky action that could benefit both of us financially, but it would also have a significant chance of failure. If you're in our position, would you take the risk? Why or why not? Consider the potential consequences for both individuals.
Yes,
Why?
because I like taking risks, and if it's gonna lead to something better, then it's gonna lead to something better.
But what if it doesn't?
I got confidence in myself.
Okay, fair enough. All right, third question is, you're tasked with planning a sustainable city for 100,000 people in a region with limited natural resources but bountiful financial resources. How would you allocate resources such as water, energy, and food? And then what long-term goals would you set, and how would you ensure the success of your plan?
All right, so like I would spend the money on like resources, like you said, water and stuff. So you know you can help grow, have stuff to eat for the city and stuff like that. And then for a long time plan, I guess the goals would be like, I don't know, like, you know, just
So basically what you're saying is you would import food and water and all that
Yeah.
while building the infrastructure for farms, stuff of that nature, and then your long-term goal would be to be like self-sufficient.
yeah.
Okay. All right, cool. Well, I appreciate you participating in all those good things.
For sure.
All right, bro. All right, so I'm here with Jalen Harbor, our DB's coach. I'm going to ask you a series of 3 questions. You're going to give me your answers to those questions and then your logical reasons why. All right, so first question is, imagine you have a coin that has a 50% chance of landing heads up and a 50% chance of landing tails up. You are going to flip the coin 100 times. How many times would you expect it to land heads up?
50%.
Okay, why?
There's a 50-50 chance of you getting either heads or tails when you flip the coin. So I think it'd be about 50%.
Okay. Second question is, me and you, we're debating whether or not to take a risky action that could benefit us both financially, but it also has a significant chance of failure. If you were in our position in this hypothetical situation, would you take the risk? Why or why not?
I'm taking the risk every time, man.
Okay, why?
You know, every chance comes with consequences. You just gotta go with your gut, man. I'm taking that risk because you don't get nothing if you don't take risks. You gotta take it.
All right. So the third question is, you are tasked with planning a sustainable city for 100,000 people in a region with limited natural resources but bountiful financial resources. How would you allocate your funds for those resources such as water, energy, and food? And then what long-term goals would you set?
Honestly, I would, you know, I got a lot of money. So I'm just gonna, you know, spend the money on, you know, people that can bring in the water sources for us. And then my long-term goals with it would be, you know, garner some farmers in town, you know, things like that, just to see if we can build some, you know, progress on water sources and things like that. Not to sound too sophisticated and all, but, you know, that's where I would go with that.
All right, man. I appreciate your time.
Oh, God bless you, bro.
Okay, so we just saw the videos of the subjects and the questions and their responses, right? So with with Walker, with the first question he answered 50, and all the subjects answered 50. Caden got a little bit more theoretical and is saying that, you know, it's probably not going to land 50-50, just given the odds, but the odds are that they do. But I can see where he's coming from, right? Like, things very often go against odds. Like, it just happens. The second question, Walker answers yes. His reasoning behind it is that you have to spend money to make money, which is true. When asked about, you know, the consequences for both of us, he did not seem to really weigh into the fact that, you know, he's making the decision for both of us. But that's one. Caden, however, he doesn't like risks, so he answers no, and he says that he would not feel comfortable with putting both me and his financial success in the hands of a risk. So he does show the ability to consider other people's perspectives. Cody answers yes. His response is no risk, no reward. And Jalen also responds yes. He's got to spend money to make money. You know, all three of those guys, they have the same reasoning, right? Like, if you're going to be able to be successful, if you're going to be able to take that risk and let it, you know, contribute to your financial success, then, you know, you're going to have to put something at risk. And I completely understand that, and I completely agree with that. Question number 3. Walker basically says that he would spend money importing as much as he can for the first few years while setting up stuff for farmers and systems in that nature. And basically all 4 of the guys said the exact same thing, just in different ways, maybe with a little less understanding. but essentially, all 4 of the guys that you saw say that, you know, it's something that they're going to have to continue working on. It's something that they're going to have to spend money to help in the near future, but with the overall goal of becoming self-sufficient is basically the end goal in mind. Couldn't agree more. So all of this goes with Piaget's stages of cognitive development, the formal operational stage. Now that's 12 years or older. Again, I don't have access to, 12-year-old students or 7 to 11-year-old students or anything of that nature. All I've got is 18 plus. But the formal operational stage is characterized by being logical, organized thoughts, and deductive reasoning. And all three of these categories show that. With question 1 being deductive reasoning, you got the odds of 50-50. It's either this or it's that, right? Deductive reasoning tells you it's 50-50 out of 100 times, should land on 50, right? The ability to think for somebody else, the ability to take into other person's perspectives is all what question 2 is about, right? Are you able to really consider the impact that it would have on somebody else's life? This was question 2 is for, and then question 3 is all about organized thoughts and systematically planning. And so with all 4 of the subjects, they all basically have the same answers, minus Caden in the risk taking. And I think that's just a part of his personality. It's a part of who he is. I'm not really reading too much into that, not really giving it much thought. I legitimately just think that's who he is as a person, and the other 3 are risk takers, and there's nothing wrong with that. But yeah, all 4 of these guys are cognitively developed. They did exactly what I was hoping it was going to do, and it revealed exactly what I was hoping it was going to reveal. So anyways, thank you for your time. Y'all have a good one.